absolutely have to be able to do, and this will show up on other questions as well. The crash course. If you know the first four in their single chain form or single bond form and then as alcohols, then you should be okay. They may ask about pentanol, but that's rare. They're more often than not going to ask about methane, ethane, propane, and butane, or methanol, ethanol, propanol, butanol. And so you need to at least be aware of what those substances are. Sometimes they tell you what they are, which is really nice, but more often than not they don't. So, methane is just a single carbon and 4 hydrogens. It's the simplest organic molecule you could have. In order to make it an alcohol, you remove one of the hydrogens and put on a hydroxide group. So instead of CH4, it becomes CH3OH. Okay? And the generalized formula is C to the N, H to the 2N plus 2. Ethane is C2H6. And then if we remove one of the hydrogens and stick on a hydroxide, we have C2H5OH. Okay? And so you predict what propane is.
Propane, if it's just increasing, would be C3H8.
Yep. And then propanol?
C3H7OH.
Yep, that's it. As I like to say, easy peasy. And then butanol is C4H10, C4H9OH. And those are really the only ones I've seen. Every once in a while they'll ask you for another one, but if they ask you for a higher one, they almost always give you the formula for it. They might ask you for isopropane. That's just, it's 4 carbons. It's just in a different form. So instead of it being, all of these are like long chains. So if you ask for butane, butane structurally looks like this, with hydrogen stuck all over it. And then isobutane is just a 3-carbon chain, and then a carbon stuck off the end. So it looks like that instead. So this is pure butane, or chain butane, and this is often called N-butane, and this is isobutane. And the iso just means that it's like balanced side to side or even side to side. So anytime you see the word iso, just like you took AP biology before, or you just take?
I took normal biology, but it was AP biology was so much beyond what my class went over. I didn't have time to study for myself.
Okay. But you covered isotonic solutions and stuff like that, and isotonic solution is basically the same solubility inside and out of a barrier. Here, it's the same side to side from some sort of modification. But my students just did a problem the other day where they had to know the difference between N-butane and isobutane. You weren't given any information about those, were you?
No, and we messed up the labels.
Yeah, they got them backwards. I'm not exactly sure how they backwards, but they got it backwards. Anytime you see N with an alkane stretched out beside it, it's going to be the chain. going to be a straight chain, even though in real organics it's not really a straight chain, it's kind of a bent kind of configuration. But that gives you a basic idea.
So the formula is just this change, the prefixes are just structural?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, but if you see, you can have something like 1,2-methyl butane or something like that, where they have methyl groups attached on things. So a methyl group is just CH3 stuck onto something else. That's rare on this exam. And in my experience, if they give you something like that, they're going to give you the formula, they're going to give you the structure, they're going to give you something to help you identify it. They don't expect you to cover organics in AP. There's really no time. They expect you to be exposed to it, but not truly understand what all of it means. So if you have this basic understanding, you should be just fine. Now, I say that, and this year they'll ask tons of organic questions on the exam. Hopefully not. Okay, so that's your crash course. And if you got that, you should be good to go. All right, so now, first question on page 4 asks for ethanol, and it doesn't give you the equation. So you kind of have to know what you're doing with that. So ethanol then is C2H5OH. And it says it's completely burned in air. That just means O2. What are the products from hydrocarbon combusting?
H2O and CO2.
H2O and CO2. When you see a hydrocarbon and oxygen, see a hydrocarbon, it says combust, see a hydrocarbon, it says burned in air, you got 2 points right there. You got 3 points if you can write the hydrocarbon. Even if you can't write the hydrocarbon, say they ask you for one and you freak out and you can't remember what it is, okay, fine. Write these 2 products, because that's 2 points right there. Anytime you have a hydrocarbon. Okay, and now we need to balance this thing. Is it 2? No, it doesn't want that. 3. Right? Is it 2? That can't be right. Or is it right? 6, 7, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's it. No, yes, that's it. I love to see combustion problems show up on tests because it's easy. The hardest part about combustion, the hardest part about hydrocarbon combustion is the balancing. So if you know what your hydrocarbons are, or if you can at least write it and predict, you know what the products are going to be, the hardest part then becomes the balancing. Now for the question, is the reaction endothermic or exothermic? This should be an easy point. Think about what combustion is. Is it going to give off heat or absorb heat? All combustion are going to be exothermic. That's an easy one. And I wouldn't write exo even though I did all my paper. I heard that exo